balanced literacy, structured literacy, phonics, whole language. If your child is struggling to read, do you feel lost and confused about the alphabet soup of approaches? Then this podcast is for you. Well, hello everyone. My name is Tracy Young, OG Tutor Extraordinaire, founder of theliteracykeys.com, and most importantly, mom of a dyslexic daughter. Welcome to my podcast, where you'll discover ways to unlock your child's reading potential. I'll share tips, strategies, and war stories that have happened along the way, because everyone deserves to be able to read. So let's get started. Welcome. Today we're going to talk about Orton Gillingham. If you have a child who is dyslexic or simply struggles with reading, you've likely heard of this term or the abbreviation, which is OG, but you may not be exactly sure of what it means or how to find a qualified professional. So let's start with the definition. What exactly is Orton Gillingham? First of all, it's not a specific curriculum or a pre-packaged program. Instead, it's a highly structured and individualized approach to teaching literacy. Think of it like a personal trainer for reading. The personal trainer, also called a therapist, that's me, assesses your child's unique strengths and weaknesses and then creates a customized plan. Now, there are some key elements to the OG approach. The first one, it's diagnostic and prescriptive. The therapist identifies the child's specific difficulties and strengths and tailors the lessons to address those needs. The second point, it's systematic and cumulative. OG teaches language concepts in a very logical, step-by-step manner. Each new skill builds upon the ones learned before it. There's no guessing. The letters are introduced according to how common they are in the English language. For example, children start learning the letters I and P, and it's not based on where they're positioned in the alphabet. It's based on how often you find the sound or the letter in English words. The third point, it's an explicit approach. The instructor directly teaches the rules of the English language. I know, at times it feels like English does not have any rules, but it really does. And by teaching the rules, then there's no room for guessing. Students learn the why, which helps them remember. So one of the cornerstones of the OG approach is that it's multisensory. Right? So what does that mean? Well, you've got multiple senses. And when you can use all of your senses to absorb information, we do better. And this is really where the magic happens for struggling readers and children with dyslexia. Traditionally, reading instruction often relies heavily on just sight and sound. The OG approach engages touch, movement, in addition to sight and sound, because that helps forge additional neural pathways. So what does it look like in practice? Well, an OG tutor might show a card with a letter. We're infamous for our cards. Let's say it's the letter B, so that the student can see it visually. Then you also might have the student required to make the sound of the letter B and provide a keyword association to help remember that. Again, focusing on the auditory. You'll also see them trace the letter B on perhaps a rough towel, which is a kinesthetic or tactile approach. And by engaging all of the senses, the brain creates stronger, more lasting memory of the letters and their sounds. It's like building a bridge with multiple supports instead of just one. This is important because a struggling reader might need more repetition to create those pathways. So by repeating and layering information, students build towards automaticity. And that's the goal, the point where you have automatic recall of words. Today, OG is considered a foundational approach within structured literacy, and it's grouped with other reading programs such as Wilson and Barton. So let's take a step back. Who developed this approach, and what's the history behind it? Well, in the 1930s, Dr. Samuel Orton, a neuropsychiatrist, and Anna Gillingham, an educator and psychologist, developed the OG approach, pioneering the idea of a systematic, explicit, and multisensory method of teaching struggling readers. Becoming an OG therapist requires several years of training, hundreds of clinical teaching hours, and sitting for a national certification exam. Several organizations train and certify therapists. For example, one is the Academic Language Therapy Association, also known as ALTA. Another one is the Orton Gillingham Academy, the OGA. And a third is the Institute for Multisensory Education, IMSE. So you'll want to find a therapist who has undergone extensive training. And that's more than a weekend course. Why is this important? Well, a few years back, there was some discussion and questioning about the effectiveness of OG. And once you got past the headline and really got into the information that was there, the key to the effectiveness lies with the training and expertise of the instructor. The consensus among experts is that when implemented with fidelity by a highly trained and certified therapist, OG is a powerful and effective intervention. The approach itself is sound, but its success is entirely dependent on the person delivering the instruction. So, not surprisingly, a weekend workshop is just not enough. A qualified OG practitioner has undergone extensive training with a supervised practicum, ensuring that they can address a child's specific reading challenges. So, as a certified therapist works with your child, they adapt the elements to the unique needs of that individual. If working memory is an issue, then the lesson can be broken up into pieces, into smaller elements, to ensure that the brain isn't overwhelmed and stops processing information. Because at the end of the day, we do need to have the information absorbed or put in long-term memory. So how do you find a qualified Orton Gillingham therapist for your child? Well, here are a few tips. Look for certification. Seek out practitioners who are certified by a reputable organization like the Academic Language Therapists Association, ALTA, the Orton Gillingham Academy, OGA, or the International Dyslexia Association, IDA. These certifications ensure a high level of training and expertise. Ask for recommendations. Talk to your child's school, to other parents, to educational psychologists, neuropsychs, or other parents of children with dyslexia. And in today's world, I would be remiss in not saying, well, you can Google Orton Gillingham tutors and interview potential tutors. Ask questions about their training, their certification, their experience working with children. Ask them to describe their approach and how they tailor it to your child's needs. Ask questions such as, what is your training and certification in the OG approach? Why did you become involved with this? How will you assess my child's needs and track their progress? Can you provide references from other families you've worked with? Finding the right support for your struggling reader can feel overwhelming, but remember, you are their best advocate. The Orton Gillingham approach, in the hands of a skilled practitioner, can be life-changing and a key that unlocks the world of reading for your child. So thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this information, please write a review. It truly helps us be recommended to other listeners. Join us next time as we explore another topic to guide you on your journey. Until then, Keep reading and keep advocating. Well, that's a wrap. Thank you for listening to the Literacy Keys podcast. Follow us on social media, and most importantly, tell a friend. See you next week.